Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started now. Looks like we've got about 12 or 14 people online now. First and foremost, I want to thank everybody for joining us this evening and taking time out of your busy schedules to go ahead and help us out with the comprehensive plan and kind of where we're going, what we're doing here at Yavapai County. This is a major project that, quite frankly, has been about 6 to 8 months in planning, and it's going to run probably about 2 years in execution. So it's something that we have to do every 10 years, but I'm really looking forward to moving forward with it. So, excuse me. I'm Dave Williams. I'm Director of Development Services here for the county. I want to go ahead and just introduce our staff real quick. I'm just going to go through their names, but we've got a lot of people in attendance in the building over here with us. Again, I'm Dave Williams. I'm Director. We have Jeremy Dye as the Assistant Director. Kazi Hawk is our Planning Manager. We've got Leah Brock, our Senior Planner. And then I have Becca Sirakis, Tim Olson, and Jeff Smith, also known as JT, if you know him, as our planners. And then we have support staff with Andrea Shelton helping out coordinating this whole project. So this is truly a team effort on the county's part, both in the planning department, planning division, as well as at the Planning Commission and the Board of Supervisors, in addition to several other departments such as Public Works, which are moving forward with this particular endeavor. Now, I want to go ahead and update everybody a little bit on where we are, why we're here, and what we're doing. The comprehensive plan is a required document. It's required to be approved every 10 years in all counties across Arizona. This was a byproduct of the Growing Smarter and Smarter Growth Acts in the 80s and 90s in Arizona, and really was led out of several other states to create overriding comprehensive plan documents to help with basically managing the growth of your area. Cities have what's called their general plans. And there is a little distinction between general plans and comprehensive plans in that city plans, general plans, are voter approved. Comprehensive plans are on a little different course as they go through the process, and they're approved by the Board of Supervisors after going through a tremendous amount of vetting. As I said, these have to be updated every 10 years, and this will involve a tremendous amount of outreach. Right now, we're starting at the lowest possible level, and this is just to get the communities engaged, get everybody back thinking in the planning process, because it's been 10 years since we've been here. We're going to be holding a lot of meetings, different charrettes around the county. We'll be talking about a lot of discussions. We'll be putting surveys out there. You're going to see a lot of communication over the next 2 years as we go through this project. I want to emphasize this is a living, breathing project. So what we think today as we start this process and we start our discussions may not be what the end result is. We really encourage a lot of community involvement. We encourage a lot of collaboration, good, reasonable discourse. We want people to talk about what their thoughts and feelings are in these communities so that we can get a better handle and understanding both on the community level and the county-wide level about what the needs are. Many of you have heard me say over the years, our current comprehensive plan is flawed. It is. It's a document, and we're seeing more and more recently that creates a lot of problems in planning, and it creates a lot of interpretive issues. We're wanting to take Yavapai County as part of this project into the future. This is a document that will still be in effect in 2032. And we want to be able to have a good long view to the future on this comprehensive plan. We want to have a tool that helps us, plan the county. It helps development. It helps people understand what's going to go on in their communities. Community vision statements are a tool to get the communities talking. It's a tool to rally your neighbors and come together and understand what everybody's needs and desires are. So that's kind of where we're starting off. I want to give an update over the last few months as well. So the Board of Supervisors has been extremely supportive so far as we go through this project. We've brought a lot of things forward that some of you may have seen presented by myself at the board. And they authorized us to move forward with initiating the community vision statements in November, which is why we're here this evening. They also repealed the community plan moratorium. And back in 2010, the community plans were placed under a moratorium by the Board of Supervisors at that time. Lifting that moratorium is what now enables us to start moving forward with those community plans. We started working on budgetary requirements. And this is a large, large project. And even though we've got a very strong planning team, we're going to need some assistance. That's where we'll be looking at our budgetary requirements. And we're working on monthly meetings now to support both the Board of Supervisors and the Planning Commission and let them know exactly where we're at. So if you miss an update in your email, you can tune in, watch the board meeting, or watch one of our Planning Commission meetings, and we'll have those updates there. As we move forward, actually I can say in the month of December, we will be bringing forward our community outreach plan, which is required by Arizona state statutes. That plan is part of the plan that will move forward over the next couple of years as far as what we intend to do in different communities. We'll be bringing forward the bylaws for the creation of a new committee in the county. This committee, similar to the one we had back in 2010 through 2012, is a comprehensive plan advisory committee. And they're going to be the very first body at the county that will be vetting a lot of the community comments, that will be having those discussions about community needs and goals and objectives. Sorry, we're having a little feedback on one of our computers. Got it? Okay. So we'll be working with appointments on that particular committee. That committee will be created by the Board of Supervisors if they choose to approve that in December, with appointments to be happening with new board members in January. Now we'll be coming back around to this, but what I want to encourage is if anybody is interested in being a part of that committee, please send an email to either our staff at planning@yavapai.us or send it directly to your elected supervisor for your district, and we will combine a big list together, and then that will get your name on the consideration list. What we're recommending for that particular committee is a committee of 10 people, very similar to the number of people we have for our Planning Commission, comprising 2 elected Board of Supervisors members, 2 appointed members of the Planning Commission, 1 member at large from an organization such as NACOG or SIMPO or Verde Valley Regional Economic, one of our partners that has a vested interest in our comprehensive plan and the success of our comprehensive plan. And most importantly, 5 members at large, 1 from each of the supervisory districts, so that we have good, even representation across the entire county. The other thing the Board of Supervisors has done is they've provided funding and permissions to move forward with approving creation of a website that is going to be very specific to the comprehensive plan, so that you'll be able to go to that. And as soon as we get the web address and everything put together, we'll get that out to everybody. But we're also going to be creating surveys, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, but that's to help individual communities with their data collection efforts as we go through the project. Now, they recommended a format for the vision statements in your individual communities. And I want to emphasize, these are living documents, so things will change as we go through the process. So as we start looking at this, I want to compare this to a marathon. This is not a sprint. We're not running 100 yards here. We're running 26.2 miles, which is obvious I've never done. But we're going to be in this for the long haul. So I expect as we go through this, communities will have changes, they'll have updates. And that's what we want to see. That's the citizen involvement. But they recommended this format, which I'll go into a little bit more detail here in just a little bit. Now, the 2012 Comprehensive Plan defines a community vision statement, and this is on page 88 of the current Comprehensive Plan. And that is, it is a document created by the residents of a community. And this is important because this is not a county-driven document. This is, we truly want the individual communities to step up. Tell us what your needs are. Tell us what the goals and everything are. But this is driven by your community. We're here to support you through these efforts. We're not here to create the documents for you, but we're here to support it for you. and it's to be used as a tool to review for the proposed land use project. So this can be used as a tool in your individual communities as we go through on a zoning case, for instance. If there's a rezoning, this is a reference document for you to be able to reference as those cases go through as kind of a first level basis for review. These are not adopted by Yavapai County. Again, they're a tool to help design the comprehensive plan, the overriding document that we have for the county. But it's not intended to have 26 or 30 of these adopted. These are tools to help us build the larger comprehensive plan. But they are to be used for reviewing those projects within the community and in concurrence with other communities in the area. And let me pause for just a moment. If anybody happens to have any questions, I meant to say this earlier on. If anybody has any questions, raise your hand in the window. There's a little button off to the side over in the comment box. Raise your hand and let us know. And once we do that, we'll recognize you. We'll turn the microphone on and you can ask your questions. And then we'll also have a quick question and answer at the end of the presentation. So vision statements in the past, this is what they looked like. And this is one over in the Verde Valley where they did a one-page vision statement as part of a much, much larger, I believe 44-page community plan. And I think we need to kind of modify this a little bit. And that was what the board provided us some direction. So instead of a document like this, I'd like to see a document such as this being your introduction. Let's delve a little deeper in the community vision statements and what's been done in the past. We need to create kind of a hybrid from a one-page vision statement between that and a 45 or 50-page complete plan. So we're really coming into the middle to create that 10-page document and make that work. Vision statements, these are also statements right out of our current comprehensive plan. It's to encourage communities to create these new vision statements. And that's what your Board of Supervisors has done by lifting that previous moratorium. We've been able now to get out there and do these things. But they're here to help develop, where appropriate, land uses such as commercial, industrial, large-scale renewable energy products, and where they may be appropriately located. It's also, we encourage the unincorporated communities to create their own statements. But this gives us that guiding document. It helps provide the information that we need in advance of getting into a board meeting, in advance of getting into a planning commission meeting. We want to hear these comments early, and that's what this helps us do. So what we're looking at for the overall design, and let me clarify, tonight's meeting is not about walking away and creating the whole document. Don't take this meeting that way, because we're going to have more in-depth meetings the first week of December, and we will drill into those specific elements and talk about that at length. But what we're looking at is, a first page being a summary, or rather an introduction. Tell us, talk to your neighbors, develop a consensus among your own community members on what your community is. Black Canyon City is very different than Seligman, is very different than Rimrock or the village of Oak Creek. Every community across Yavapai County has a unique identity. And that's one of the things that makes Yavapai County so strong, is there's a little bit of everything for everybody. It's a wonderful county for that. But I want to hear in your intros, what are your values? What are your desires? What makes your community special? I know what makes my community special, but I want to hear, as part of these documents, what makes all of your individual communities special to you? Why did you choose to live not only in Yavapai County, but why did you choose to live in the community you live in? Tell us. That's what the introduction's about. The elements are required by state statute, so they're a little onerous, and that's why we're going to walk through these in length, in detail at a later meeting. But we have a land use element. We have a transportation element, an environmental element. What are your concerns about the environment? Water resources element. Water is a topic of concern, for everybody across the county. In many cases, we can't address it, but this is one of those opportunities where we can voice our opinions. Open space. It's been a heated topic in the city of Prescott recently. What about open space? You know, what are your thoughts on that? Energy element. Energy right now, renewable energy, there's been a tremendous surge in the last year, and we've got some large scale renewable energy projects coming forward. What are your thoughts? You know, what in your individual communities interest you the most? Cost of development, where should the cost be shifted? How should that be addressed? And then growth areas. We all know Arizona is a property rights state. People have a right to come in and ask the question of, can they develop something on this property? Doesn't always mean the answer is yes, but they have the right to ask the question. And part of the growth areas says, where should development occur within your community? Where should commercial go? Where should industrial go? How do we find a balance throughout the entire county of jobs, of recreation, of homes and commercial, so that financially, stability wise, the county is in a sustainable position for the future? As we look at the vision statements, and I sent out as an attachment before this meeting, I sent out our current comprehensive plan to everybody, and these are excerpts right out of our comprehensive plan. And this is a typical design for comprehensive and general plans. Every community will have goals, and we want you to be able to identify what your goals are for land use or transportation. And inside those goals, what are the objectives? Is it to lower traffic? Is it to get faster speeds for your commutes, to create more bicycle trails? What are the objectives? How can we accommodate that? So we expect as part of the plan, you'll be able to develop goals, you'll be able to develop objectives as part of this. And then from there, recommendations for the actual implementation. So as we go through this, we'll be looking for those individual things and recommendations. And quite frankly, I love it when we talk in communities about different recommendations, because we hear so many wonderful ideas that unless you get the voice in the community, we don't hear these. So I love talking to communities and hearing what their individual recommendations are in their communities. A summary page would be the last page of the community vision statement, and summarize, you know, all the goals, what you're going to see as you go through this process, because I've done a few of these plans in my career. You're going to see common themes occur. That's what you should be summarizing. You should be looking at how in the summary page we can get that, providing recommendations on the 10,000-foot level for different things, and add in any information that will be important for your community in the future. Now, I talked briefly about surveys, and what we're going to do with this is we are creating an overall template right now that we'll be putting out prior to the next meeting so we can have a discussion on it. That template will include all the questions that have been used in previous comprehensive plan surveys, so that communities can use one single document to be able to go out and look at your community and see what the questions are. But that way everybody's on kind of an even keel when we run those surveys. Things are being addressed across the entire county. The surveys we're going to use are GIS or location-based, if you're not familiar with that term. They're going to be location-based, and they're going to be specific for your community. So Cornville will have its own specific survey created, and we'll be hosting those on our website. We'll be able to have live links on there, so as your community members fill those out, we'll also be able to look and see live, what are the questions? What are the answers? How are they grouping? Perhaps, you know, we can see, because of the geographic information, areas of your community that may not be responding, where additional outreach might be very warranted, so that we have a good, even distribution of information. We'll be updating, as I said, this will be hosted on our website once we get that live and running. And then we'll be sending those out prior to the next meeting. So if there's questions that need to be added or clarification or anything like that, we can take care of that at our next meeting. Now, what is not wanted right now in a vision statement? Right now, I really want to hear about people's goals and what their objectives are. That is critical to us. Maps are going to come later. We want to see what the overall communities are doing. We're not sure, because again, this is a living document. We don't know if this will be an entire county project. We don't know if this will be broken into regions. We don't know if it'll be broken down into individual communities. So right now, I don't think it's appropriate to draw lines in the sand. talk to your communities, your normal outreach. Let's see what organically happens as part of that effort. So right now, we're not requesting any maps. Maps will be coming later on. By no means is this 10 or 11 pages of your community vision statement the end. And I want to emphasize that. As we go forward here, I expect these documents to grow. I expect them to have things added into them. This is to get the ball rolling. It's to start that discussion. Keep the vision statement simple. Again, they're living documents. We want to keep it very, very straightforward. And then graphics right now, please don't include graphics. Use that space to further educate your community members, further educate us on those goals. That's where we need to see this. As we go forward in the future, that's when the pretty stuff, that's when the pictures can be added, the graphics and maps to really finish the plan out. But right now, we really want the meat of the document to really reflect your views. So what we're asking for right now is we're asking for in March or April, and there's no set date, but in March or April to have a community vision statement, rough draft essentially done. We're going to have a second document that contains your outreach and the raw results. Now, this document could be much, much longer in length, but that's going to address your meeting agendas. It's going to address the attendance, the sign-in sheets, the meetings of the minutes of the meetings, and the survey results, the raw data that helped you get to where your community is. That's going to be a second document that's completely separate because we still need this information, but what we don't want to do is I don't want to clutter the actual finished product that's coming out of the community with the extra. Most plans, when these are created, you have your main plan and then you have your addendum, and that's how we want to look at it moving forward. Now, what can you do right now? Right now, tonight, tomorrow, over Thanksgiving, start making sure your contact lists are updated. Start talking to your neighbors. Please, please engage everybody you can. Post some signs down at the convenience store. Let everybody you know that this is going on. Because truly, planning on a comprehensive level like this, we want so much community involvement. We want to hear everybody's voices. That is so critical. Start setting up your meetings in beginning of the year or late December. Please be careful of COVID though. Virtual meetings are probably going to be suggested for a while or provide for social distancing. I will be honest, that's the biggest reason why we're doing this to virtually tonight and not doing a large community meeting. Is the last thing any of us want is anybody to get sick because of a meeting we held. So please do what you can on that front. Create an outreach plan. Sit down in your community groups, figure out what works for you, and put yourself on your own timeline. You guys know your schedule obviously far better than any of us. That's why we've built in 3, 4, 5 months for the communities to bring these plans forward, and start thinking about what makes your community special. Over the last 7 years since I've been here, I have seen so many special things in each community across the county. And that's one of the things that I find Yavapai County is just incredible. Every community I've been to has a vibrant culture in it, wonderful residents. They've got their own unique kind of flavor or vibe going on, and it's really neat. Yavapai County's diversity is one of its strengths. We want to harness that diversity and that strength in our comprehensive plan. So moving forward, next meetings, we're going to be doing a meeting on Saturday, and that is a virtual meeting again, but it's going to be a repeat of what we're talking about today. We are going to be creating a frequently asked questions, and we'll be posting any questions that we get through this process. We'll be posting those. I'll send them out to everybody on our mailing list, and that way everybody has the questions answered, and we can start getting that collaboration. We'll have 2 meetings the first week of December, and that's where we're going to talk about the nuts and bolts of your community vision statement and those 8 elements. We'll go into detail on what the state law says those elements should include. So that way there's no misunderstanding. Everybody's on the same page. Again, this is a statutorily required activity we have to do. So we are governed by Arizona state statute. And then I'll have a final meeting Thursday night, December 17th. And that's just going to be a wide open question and answer session so that anything you guys need, we're here. Our whole team is here to be able to answer those questions and help you out. So just let us know, whatever we can do. Now, one of the things I want to point out, if your community does not want to answer all 8 of those elements, you don't have to. Don't feel obligated. If your community says, we just don't know about renewable energy, we don't know what this energy element is, we don't have an interest in it, that's fine. Please don't feel obligated to have to answer every one of those bullet points. Please give us what you can. If you only want to answer one element that's required, I would still love to have your information. I cannot stress enough how much we want your voice to be heard in this. So with that, I'm going to kind of open the floor to any questions. We've got our staff over here. So if you raise your hand in the chat room, then we can go ahead and turn your mic on and answer questions. We're waiting for some people to raise their hands in the chat room. If you can't raise your hand, if you don't have a microphone, you just have a computer, feel free to type your question in that chat room as well. And I have up on the screen right now, I have a couple of our contact ways to get a hold of us. Any questions you have about this, please call either the phone number there or send us an email. That's the main email address for planning. Any one of our planners can be able to help you out with that. Feel free to just call in and say, I have questions about the comprehensive plan, and they will route you to the right person to answer those questions. Anybody raising hands yet? No? I did such a good job. Nobody has any questions, apparently.
Andrea, I just saw a question. No, you didn't get it? Oh.
Okay. I have one person who would like to be on the mailing list. If you could send us an email to that planning@yavapai.us, we will get you included in that email list. And let me mention as well, any of your neighbors, friends, anybody that lives in the county that may have an interest, please tell them to send us a quick email to that email address. We will get you included on the list. Right now, we have emails that went out on this list to about 60 different people across the county, representing, I believe, about 20 communities. So whatever else we can do to get interest in would be great.
You get that? I have a question for you.
Okay, so we have a question from staff here. So
yes, is it possible that we create a flyer and send it out to them so they could post it in the convenience store and places like that?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So, and Kazi, our manager, just made a great comment. We will go ahead and we will create a flyer that we can send out to everybody. We'll send it out as a simple template. You can enter in your community information on that, post that up in your individual communities, and that way your residents can see that. We'll save the trouble of you guys creating the whole thing. You just plug your contact info in. We'll make that happen. That's a great idea. And we had nobody yet. Okay. You thought you had yet another one that showed up? Mark Lawler, I believe, has a question. Hold on, Mark. We'll turn your mic on here.
He said that when was the final comp plan, something like that. Did you get that? I'm seeing it here.
Just a second, Mark. We're going to get your microphone turned on here. Okay, Mark, you're unmuted. Go ahead. What's your question?
Yeah, hopefully it's a simple question. Just what's the goal for when the final comprehensive plan will be completed?
That's a fantastic question. I've actually forgot to mention that earlier. Our goal right now, as I said, this is a marathon. Our goal right now by statute is to have this to the Board of Supervisors for their final approval by the end of 2022. That's when our current plan is due for their final vote. Now, with that said, what I'd really like to do is to have it through the Planning Commission, through public comment, all of that in about August of 2022, so that any changes that are made, we can, work our way through those final adjustments so that the board when they do finally receive it, has a good final copy for their discussions and consideration. So 2022, the end of it, is our statutory deadline.
Okay, thanks.
Very good.
Then James Collins missed the first part. Did you get that? Turn him on.
Right.
Hold on, we got one more coming in.
James
Mr.
Collins.
Okay, Mr. Collins or Colin?
Collins.
Okay, Mr. Collins, you're on.
Hello. Can you hear me?
There we go. We can hear you now.
He missed the first part, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I just missed the early meeting trying to get logged on here. That was a little bit of a process. I'm just interested in what our deadline dates are for different portions of this process in order to get our information in and, in order to get our voice heard before it gets put into the plan.
Okay, so what we're looking at, we have two deadlines. And I don't want to use the term deadline as hard as we would call it in school for a science project. But really, we're looking to have the communities get us I don't want to say rough draft, but get us a decent draft in about March or April of this year. So in the spring is when we'd like to have that. And as I mentioned earlier, and I guess you weren't quite on yet, we expect these to be living documents. And that's why I say a draft. I don't expect them to be final documents by any means, but March or April, and then that's going to give us a lot of information to be able to help guide the process as we go forward. And again, as I just mentioned, the final document, the final comprehensive plan, is due to the Board of Supervisors for their consideration by the end of 2022. And since you did miss the first portion of this, what I can say is next week, we will have this same presentation. We'll have this posted on our Facebook page for everybody to be able to go back in, log in, and view if you have any additional questions. And if you were not on my original mailing list, if you send us an email to planning@yavapai.us, I'll be happy to send out our PowerPoint to you as well. Okay, any other
Thank
questions?
you.
Cynthia Crowley.
Thank you.
Cynthia, you get it? Okay, she's up. She had a question. Cynthia Crowley, I believe.
Okay, Cynthia Crawley, you had a question? You're unmuted now. We've unmuted you. Cynthia, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you just fine now.
Okay,
It's actually Jack.
we're both here.
Okay,
We're currently in California, but we have a serious interest in our future home up in Williamson Valley area.
wonderful.
So there's a organization there in the community, though we're not there often enough to meet on a regular basis. We just want to be part of it, but we also want to be able to gather the information. So we've got the information here off this screen. We'll make sure that we're on the mailing list, and we're going to be contacting. We have at least 6 of our friends that have moved over there over the last 4 or 5 years, and we'll contact all of them and see if they can get on the Saturday meeting to get into this.
Boy, please do. We'd love to have them. And if you're not familiar with the Williamson Valley Community Organization, if you don't have any contacts, if you send us an email, I will get you in contact with them. We have several of their members online. I saw the login right as we went live. We've got several of their members online, and they are a fantastic community group up there. They're very active, and I know they'd love to have you participate.
Okay, yeah, we're actually in the Williamson Valley Ranch community, and they've got their own group there, so I suspect that they'll probably tag team with that to develop this master plan. So
wonderful.
Once this is kind of in place, do they use it in the end as the supervisors and other departments as a guiding document going forward?
That's exactly what it is. It is a guiding document. It is not a legally binding document in the same sense that an ordinance would be. The zoning ordinance is very hard, set in stone. That is a black and white type document. The comprehensive plan helps us on many levels as we evaluate projects. It provides that overall guide to say, you know, the community wants this or the community doesn't want this. It helps give us that better discussion point when we meet with people when they bring in new zoning applications. But it also goes into transportation. It goes into other different things. It's a tool quite often used by any developer to say, you know, Yavapai County has an interest in renewable energy, a strong interest. And, you know, they can look at that, hang their hat on it and say, you know, maybe we want to start those discussions with the community. So it is a fantastic guiding document on both sides of the aisle and really helps give everybody an understanding of what this community, your community's values are. So they're not coming in with a high-rise apartment complex, you know, something that's not going to be in keeping with the character.
Right. Well, we think it's one of the most beautiful places we've ever been to, and that's why we decided that's where we're going to spend the rest of our lives. So we definitely have a vested interest in what takes place. Obviously, you know, traffic development. I think manufacturing and industry was mentioned, and I'm not sure this is the appropriate place for anything that's of size. You know, a major player could come in and totally disrupt the look and the feel and the vibe of not just our local community, but the entire Prescott area.
Yeah.
And
Well,
the Yavapai County for that.
Exactly. Well, don't forget, Yavapai County is the size of New Jersey. So we have
Right.
8,000 square miles that this document will be covering the planning for. So while I agree, you know, an Apple campus is probably never going to happen in Williamson Valley, there are other communities, you know, that may be interested in looking at something like that. But that's the beauty of having this level of community engagement and having every community at the table to tell us, you know, truly what their wants and desires are. Because every community behaves a little differently. They all have their different viewpoints and different thoughts on what everything should be. So that's one of the beauties of the county.
I see on the Q&A that Williamson Valley CO will be holding Zoom meetings. So
Fantastic.
looks like this looks not sure how to get in touch with them, but I think you guys will be the connecting point.
You bet. And I know Jim Fortney is online right now. If Jim
Yes,
wanted to
he is.
send you his email through that comment portal, then you two can get connected. And Jim's a fantastic resource up there.
He wants to talk.
Okay.
Oh, and I guess Jim has a question too. So we'll get Jim on here in just a moment. Okay, Jim, your mic is live now. Go ahead.
David, the only comment I had to make was to assure all of the Williamson Valley people that we will be holding Zoom-based meetings so that all of the members can participate.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah, don't let COVID slow anybody down. There's a lot of good virtual options to do these types of meetings. So don't let COVID slow you down. Are there any other questions? Okay. Looks like we don't have any more questions. So I'm going to just hold here for 30 seconds in case somebody thinks of anything. But while we're waiting, I want to take a moment. I want to thank everybody for giving up part of your Thursday nights to join us here for this. I have been in the planning world now for over 20 years. I cannot emphasize enough the importance of everybody getting involved in this, even if it's as simple as just filling out the surveys to help your community out. Planning can't be done in silence. We want to hear the comments. I really want everybody to engage. So thank you so much for giving us your time this evening.
Remind them Saturday we'll have the same.
And then yes, Saturday we'll be doing the same meeting. We'll be doing it live. So if there's any questions, anything at all, anybody you know that missed this, please have them dial in on Saturday. And you know, we should be able to keep it to under an hour. I know I booked for 2 hours for this, but I think we should be able to keep it under an hour pretty easily. So anybody, any last second stragglers? Nope. Well, I want to again just say thank you very much, truly. I want to wish everybody a very happy Thanksgiving, and everybody please stay safe this Thanksgiving, and And as Supervisor Brown often says in all the meetings, please wash your hands, please wear your masks, keep your family safe, truly. But from the Planning Department and Development Services here, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.